Have you ever stepped back and realized you're dating the same person again? Different name, different face, same emotional blueprint. It starts with chemistry, the butterflies, the excitement, that familiar thrill that feels like fate. But somehow it ends the same way. You feeling unseen, unheard, exhausted, or worse, empty. You tell yourself this time will be different. You hope your love will be enough. You try harder. You shrink. You bend. You sacrifice until you forget who you are. And when it finally falls apart, you're left asking, why does this keep happening to me? Here's the truth. You're not cursed. You're not broken. But you are unconscious of a pattern. A pattern shaped by parts of yourself you haven't seen or didn't want to see. Carl Jung had a name for this unseen force. He called it the Anima and the Animus, your inner feminine, your inner masculine, the parts of your psyche that influence how you relate, who you are drawn to, who you attract, and who you chase. These archetypes live in your unconscious. They hold your emotional history, your wounds, your fantasies, your unmet needs, and they act like magnets, pulling you toward people, not because they're right for you, but because they match your unresolved self. You think it's love, but it's a mirror, reflecting the work you haven't done. If you grew up without emotional safety, you might be drawn to chaos. If love meant proving yourself, you might seek people who make you earn affection. If attention was inconsistent, you might crave the thrill of being chosen over and over, even if it hurts. This isn't your fault, it's your programming. But once you see it, it becomes your responsibility, because what you don't heal, you repeat, and the partners you attract often reveal what your unconscious still needs to process. Let's say you keep attracting avoidant people, people who disappear when things get real. That's not a coincidence. That's your psyche asking, where did I first learn that love feels like distance? Or maybe you chase emotionally intense lovers. The highs are euphoric, the lows are destructive. That too is a clue, not of your passion, but of your emotional addiction to intensity. Jung believed that until we make the unconscious conscious, it will rule our life, and we will call it fate. That's exactly what happens in love. We fall for what's familiar, not for what's healthy. We confuse trauma bonds with soulmates. But this isn't just about romance. It's about self-awareness, because every repeated relationship pattern is an invitation to turn inward, to ask, what part of me is choosing this? What am I trying to heal through another person? And who would I be if I stopped chasing love? That hurts. Here's the paradox. You keep attracting the same type of person because you haven't yet become someone new, and becoming new requires facing what you've ignored, your beliefs, your wounds, your identity. Jung taught that we all carry within us the anima or animus, but until we integrate them, we remain incomplete, and that incompleteness makes us seek someone to complete us. But no one can complete you. That's your job. Integration begins when you pause, when you stop blaming them, and start listening to you. What are you drawn to? What scares you in intimacy? What feels like love but actually recreates your childhood pain? The work is not easy, but it is necessary, because until you heal the blueprint, you'll keep building the same house, with a different name on the mailbox, and every time it collapses, you'll think it was them, but really, it was your unconscious self, asking to be seen. Let's take an example. Rachel is a strong, independent woman, but she always falls for emotionally unavailable men. At first, they seem charismatic, confident, in control, but soon they pull away. They don't open up. They disappear when she needs closeness, and Rachel starts to overfunction. She texts more, she plans more, she gives more. She tells herself she just needs to be patient. But what's really happening? Rachel is repeating a pattern. She's reenacting her relationship with her father, who was distant, who praised her only when she excelled, who never made her feel fully seen. So now she subconsciously chooses men who mirror that emotional absence. hoping she can finally earn the love she never got. But love isn't something you earn, it's something you allow. And when Rachel finally saw that, when she realized her type was her trauma in disguise, she began the real work, not to change men, but to change herself. That's the work you're being called to do, not to find the perfect partner, but to find the parts of you that are still hurting, because the person you attract is often the person who triggers your shadow, not to hurt you, but to reveal what still needs healing. So how do you begin? You pause, you reflect, you write down your relationship patterns, you stop chasing intensity, and start choosing emotional safety. You build a relationship with yourself that is nurturing, consistent, honest. You face the uncomfortable truth that love won't fix you, it will reveal you, and you decide that your healing matters more than your habit. That's how you stop the cycle, not by changing them, but by becoming someone who no longer needs to be broken to feel love. Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." This is your awakening, not to romantic love, but to self-love, to conscious love, to a love that begins with wholeness, not hunger. And from that place, you'll attract differently, you'll choose differently, and you'll love without losing yourself. Before you loved them, before they broke your heart, before you even met them, there was a blueprint inside you, a silent, unseen script, already shaping the story of who you love, how you love, and why you love. Carl Jung believed we are not just our conscious personality, we are also the sum of our unconscious forces, and within that unconscious lie two powerful archetypes that shape every romantic connection you've ever had. He called them the Anima and the Animus. The Anima is the inner feminine, the Animus is the inner masculine, and together, they are the unseen halves of your soul. They are not about gender, they are about energy, emotion, intuition, action, power, nurture, direction. The Anima is your ability to feel, to receive, to connect emotionally. She is your creativity, your vulnerability, your sensitivity. She is the muse in your imagination, the longing in your silence, the ache in your chest when you feel unseen. The Animus is your ability to act, to lead, to protect and pursue. He is your focus, your logic, your assertiveness. He's the part of you that says, "I deserve better. I will walk away. I choose myself." Both live in you, regardless of your gender. And when they are unbalanced or wounded, your love life will show it. If your inner feminine is rejected, you may avoid softness. You may fear vulnerability. You may attract partners who are emotionally closed, because you are closed to your own feelings. If your inner masculine is distorted, you may chase validation. You may struggle with boundaries. You may attract controlling partners, because you don't feel safe claiming your own power. The partners you choose are often mirrors, not of your desires, but of your disowned parts. Think about this. The strong woman who always ends up with passive men. The kind man who always attracts emotionally chaotic women. The ambitious person who falls for people who need fixing. These are not accidents. These are clues. Clues to which part of your psyche is asking to be integrated. When the Anima is not embraced, you will project her onto others. You will seek her in muses, lovers, idealized figures. You will fall in love with people who seem emotional, dreamy, artistic. But underneath, you are seeking the part of yourself you lost. When the Animus is not integrated, you will be drawn to people who seem confident, assertive, dominant. You may mistake dominance for strength, control for protection, but deep down, you are looking for your own voice, your own fire, your own spine. Jung said, "We do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." And in love, that means confronting the parts of you that you keep outsourcing to other people. Stop and ask yourself, What qualities am I constantly seeking in a partner? What do I feel I lack without them? Do you always fall for emotionally expressive people? You may be cut off from your own emotions. Do you always seek strength in someone else? You may have abandoned your own willpower. Do you crave approval? You may have never accepted your own worth. This is what projection does. It places your missing parts onto someone else and creates the illusion that they complete you. But no one completes you. They only reflect what you've forgotten to embrace in yourself. And as long as you remain split inside, you will attract imbalance outside. Let's take an example. James is a highly intellectual man, logical, successful, disciplined, but every relationship he has falls apart in emotional chaos. His partners say he's distant. He doesn't know how to hold space. He struggles to understand their feelings. And yet, he keeps choosing women who are deeply emotional, almost too much. It's not random. It's a projection. James has rejected his own anima. Somewhere in childhood, he learned that emotion was weakness, that crying was shameful, that boys must be strong. And now, his inner feminine is buried, so he seeks her, in lovers, in passion, in drama. But the truth is, he cannot receive her until he meets her inside himself, and until then, he will sabotage every connection that asks him to feel. Let's flip it. Sophie is deeply empathic, kind, giving. She always puts others first. She's the healer in every relationship, and somehow, she always ends up with narcissists, men who dominate, who manipulate, who control. It's not because she's weak, it's because she's disconnected from her inner masculine. She learned to survive by being small, by people-pleasing, by avoiding conflict, and now, her animus is undeveloped, so she seeks strength in people who misuse it. She doesn't need to love harder. She needs to reclaim her fire, to say no, to choose herself, to trust her own direction. This is the journey, from projection to integration. You stop asking others to carry your lost parts. You stop confusing chemistry with destiny. You stop falling in love with imbalance, and you start doing the work of becoming whole. Integration looks like this. You feel your feelings without drowning in them. You assert yourself without aggression. You soften without collapsing. You lead with love, but you don't lose yourself. You embody both. Masculine clarity, feminine flow. Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And you are not one-dimensional. You are not either strong or soft. You are both. You are full. You are complex." The more you accept this within, the less chaos you attract from without. Because relationships are not just about compatibility, they are about consciousness. When your inner feminine feels safe, you stop chasing external validation. When your inner masculine is trusted, you stop tolerating disrespect. And from that space, you no longer seek someone to save you. You seek someone to grow with, not to fill your emptiness, but to meet you in your fullness. That is conscious love. And it begins, not with finding the right partner, but by reclaiming the parts of you you've been trained to forget. You are not half of a whole. You're already whole. And when you know that, you will love, without needing to lose yourself again. You think it's love, but it's a mirror. And the reflection? It's not them. It's your childhood, your wounds, your unmet needs, disguised as attraction. Carl Jung said, "We don't see people as they are. We see them as we are." And in relationships, we don't just fall in love. We fall into patterns, painful patterns, that feel strangely familiar, like home. Even if home was a battlefield, you keep attracting the same type of person. They may look different, but the emotional dynamic? It's identical. Why? Because the psyche seeks completion, and often, completion means repetition. You're not just dating your partner, you're dating your history. If you had to earn love as a child, you'll be drawn to people who make you prove your worth. If you had an emotionally unavailable parent, You'll crave people who pull away. If love once meant fear or chaos, then calm feels boring, and chaos feels like chemistry. This is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Jung called it projection, the unconscious act of placing our unresolved material onto someone else. You don't realize you're doing it, but your body does. Your nervous system remembers what love used to feel like, even if it was toxic, so you choose it again, and again, and again. Let's take an example. Emma keeps falling for emotionally distant men, men who withdraw, men who avoid talking about feelings, men who never fully choose her. She says, I just want someone who shows up for me, but when someone actually does, she panics, she pulls away. She says they're too much or too available. Why? Because Emma's father was distant. He loved her, but from afar. And now, she equates distance with love. She feels excitement when she has to chase. When love is easy, she feels unsafe. This isn't about the partner. It's about her inner child, still waiting for dad to turn around, still trying to win love that was always withheld. Let's flip it. Daniel is kind, thoughtful, empathetic, but he keeps falling for women who need saving. They're emotionally volatile, always in a crisis, always pulling him in then pushing him away. He says, I just want peace. But truth is, peace feels unfamiliar. He grew up with a mother who was unstable. He learned to survive by fixing, by pleasing, by becoming the emotional parent. So now, love feels like responsibility, and chaos feels like home. He's not in love with her. He's in love with the role he played as a child. Until we bring this into consciousness, we will repeat the pain and call it fate. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it destiny. Healing begins when you stop blaming others and start asking deeper questions. Why do I feel most alive when I'm anxious around someone? Why does rejection feel like love? Why do I ignore red flags and chase potential? The answer is usually not about the other person. It's about the wound inside you, the one you've been trying to fix by choosing people who recreate the same pain. But this time, you hope it ends differently. You hope they stay. You hope they finally see you. You hope love will finally heal the hole. But the truth is, they won't, because they can't. It's not their job. It's yours. You cannot heal in the same pattern that broke you. You cannot be loved by people who don't love themselves. You cannot fix your past by repeating it with someone new. So how do you break this cycle? First, you recognize the wound, not with shame, but with compassion. You say, yes, I was taught to earn love. Yes, I was made to believe love is pain. Yes, I've chased the unavailable because I felt unworthy. And then, you stop chasing. You stop performing. You stop trying to be chosen. Instead, you choose you. You give yourself the presence you never got, the security you never felt, the acceptance you always wanted. You learn to sit with discomfort, to feel what you used to run from, to say, I don't need to be triggered to feel in love. You stop asking, how can I make them stay? And you start asking, why do I want someone who doesn't want me? This is the turning point where attraction becomes awareness, where you stop falling for patterns and start falling into alignment. It won't feel comfortable at first. Healthy love might feel boring. Safe might feel foreign. Available might feel flat. But that's just your nervous system adjusting to something real, something new, something that doesn't hurt. Eventually, you won't crave the person who makes you anxious. You'll crave the one who gives you peace. You won't be drawn to chaos. You'll be drawn to stability. Because when you've healed, familiar pain loses its power, and love stops feeling like a wound. You say you want love, real love, safe love, a love that sees you, holds you, chooses you every day. But when it finally shows up, you panic, you second guess, you pull away, because deep down, you're not sure you're ready, not ready to be seen, not ready to be loved without conditions. not ready to stay when it's peaceful. Carl Jung believed that every person holds within them both masculine and feminine energies. He called them Anima and Animus, and until we integrate those energies, we seek them in others. We look for someone else to complete what feels missing inside. The woman seeks the masculine strength she hasn't owned. The man searches for the emotional softness he's been taught to avoid. And in that search, we confuse attraction with longing. We mistake absence for intensity. We chase people who reflect the part of ourselves we haven't yet embraced. But when we do the inner work, when we meet our own anima or animus, something shifts. We stop seeking. We start choosing. Let me explain. Sarah used to fall for dominant, emotionally distant men. They were charming, but unavailable. They mirrored the masculine strength she had rejected in herself. She told herself, "They make me feel safe." But truth was, she didn't feel safe with her own power. She'd never learned to hold boundaries, speak her truth, take up space. So she looked for men to do it for her, even if it hurt. But after therapy, shadow work, self-reflection, she met the masculine inside her. Not the wounded masculine that dominated or avoided, but the sacred one that stood firm, took action, led with calm presence, and when she integrated that strength, she no longer chased it in others. She didn't feel small anymore. She didn't need to be saved. She became the one she was waiting for. So when someone kind came along, someone grounded, available, respectful, she didn't run. She didn't call it boring. She didn't crave the roller coaster. She recognized peace, and she could finally receive it. That's what integration looks like. You meet the lost parts of you. You hold them. You stop outsourcing them to people who can't carry them. And then you choose love. Not from a place of desperation, but from wholeness. Let's look at Tom. Tom was always attracted to mysterious women, emotionally volatile, hard to read. He said they were deep, but really, they mirrored his own disconnection from emotion. He had never been taught how to feel, how to soften, how to cry without shame. So he searched for it in women. But once they got too close, he felt overwhelmed. He'd pull away, sabotage the relationship, call her too emotional. He was running from his own anima, until one day, he stayed. He didn't run from his feelings. He sat with them. He stopped apologizing for needing rest, or tenderness, or affection, and slowly, the chaos he once called passion lost its grip. When a woman showed up, present, honest, emotionally safe, he didn't chase, he didn't withdraw, he welcomed her, because now, he could welcome himself. This is what Jung meant when he said, "You are not meant to find a partner who completes you. You are meant to find one who matches your completeness." So ask yourself, are you ready to be loved in a way that doesn't hurt? Are you ready to choose peace over patterns? Are you ready to be seen fully, without performing? Because here's the truth. When you haven't integrated your inner energies, love feels like imbalance. When you have, love feels like resonance. You stop choosing people to fix and start choosing people who grow with you. You stop falling for highs and lows and start building steady foundations. The connection doesn't feel like adrenaline, feels like exhale. Doesn't drown you, it anchors you. You don't lose yourself in them. You find new layers of yourself with them, because you're not two broken halves trying to glue together. You're two full beings, choosing each other freely, without fear, without illusion, without projection. And that is the kind of love that lasts, not because it's perfect, but because it's rooted in truth. As you are, and them, as they are. No masks, no chases, no games, just presence, intimacy, and the safety to grow. That kind of love exists, but only when you're ready to stop chasing your shadow and start choosing yourself.